Hello, matey here. Kanisha asked me to do a picture for her, so I did ask if she minded if I did a little video of it as I was doing it, and she laughed. But here it is. I'm going to show you a few things in this, but I'm going to use I can see I'm going to need to use the puppet warp tool, so I'll show you how I use that. And I'm going to use a plugin in this called Flood 2. So I'll show you how I use Flood 2. We'll do a bit of cutting and pasting, and I think we should get a pretty nice looking image. Okay, so to start off, I'm going to remove the green screen. So I'm going to use the background eraser. To take this out. Now that pose stand there, I'm just going to draw a selection around with the lasso tool, and then cut it out by hitting the backspace key. That was Control D to get rid of that selection. So I'm going to drag this into the background. So this is the background I've chosen for this. I've used this as another video. It's a background that it's a Second Life background that I've done a bit of editing on to make the sky in the background quite atmospheric. Alright, so I'm just going to highlight the move tool, click on the image and drag it, and still holding down the left mouse button into that image, and it should pop it right up there like that. Alright, so when I took this photo, I took the photo of the horse and Kanisha together, just for perspective. It would have been a lot easier than searching around for an image of a horse which is looking in the right direction. So I'm going to cut that horse and separate them now. So I'm just going to drag a selection around the horse, come up to edit, cut, and I'm just going to paste it back in, and it'll be on its own layer then. Alright, so horse. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fix up Kanisha's foot here, and I'm going to use the puppet warp tool to do that. So to do that, because she's there separate as her own selection, if I hold down the control key and left click on the tile, it'll pop a selection around her. And then if we come up to the edit button at the top here, there's a tool there called the puppet warp. This is pretty cool, this tool. So I'm going to anchor some points on her, and I'm doing this because I don't want her to move, I only want her foot to move. So I'm going to put a anchor point on her ankle there, and then at the end of her foot I'm going to look at that. Just press enter and it commits it. So now her foot's on the ground instead of pointing up in the air. I'm going to highlight both layers and transform them together. I'm going to resize them into the image because I'm going to put some water in front of them with a bit of a reflection and have them looking into a pond. Alright, so I'm just going to move this horse. I can come a bit closer now. Alright, so before I do too much more and I forget, I'm going to fix up that green that's bled through into her hair. So we just cut her out from a green screen, so I'll quickly fix that by putting another layer above her, making a clipping mask, changing the blend mode to hue, I'll take a sample of a hair colour. And with a brush at 100%, I'm just going to paint over the green pieces. There we go. Actually, I might have chosen a little bit too dark a colour. Oh, that's it. So it looks a lot better than being green. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to position them where I think they should be eventually in the picture, and I'm going to I'm going to mask the bottom of both of them so that they're actually sitting in the grass. So I think that's what I'll do now. I want to I'm just going to unlock that background, and I'll do that by double clicking on it, then clicking OK. Because this line here, I think it looks pretty good. It's probably a good place for. I'm going to place some water in front of them, so that's probably a good spot for the water to lap up to. I'm going to just bring that more into the foreground a bit, I think. Actually, like that. Okay, so the horse and the model I'll place into a group by highlighting all three layers, Control G, and I'll put a layer mask onto this group. Now if you go to your brushes, there's some preset brushes in here. There we go. This one here, it's actually like a little grass brush. And if you paint in black, just got to see this one changes size on that layer mask there. Should be able to get them to blend in. Let me zoom in and show you. Alright, so I'll just make this brush a little bit bigger. Alright, so what we're doing is we're cutting bits of the image out and allowing the grass to come through over the top. And the way this brush works, it's preset, so it switches between black and white, and it kind of blends them in. But what I'd like to do is, actually on the white layer, I like to actually make that grey because it takes a bit more out. So I'm going to go to about 50%. What's that, 54%? You can see there, I'll put it at 50%. Let's see if there you go. See, I get less of a line at the bottom of the hoof there. And it's funny, Kanisha hopped on this pose and we were in voice and she was saying to me, but my bum looks flat in this. I said, don't worry, I'll fix it for you. This is how I'm going to fix it. I'm going to cover it in grass. So Kanisha, your ass is covered in grass. It will be. Now, I want to keep the hand there, but it's going to be easier to bring that back with a white brush. I think once I've disguised everything. Okay, so put these back to default colors and just for the normal round brush this time. Let's put the hardness up a little bit. I'm going to paint with white on that layer mask and bring her hand back. If I make a selection around her, I can get the fingers pretty close at least. Alright, so Control D. I can still see a bit of a line of foot there, so with a soft black brush I might just tidy that up a little bit too. Okay, so I think that looks alright, but I'm looking at the horse now and I can see a few problems there. Looks like it's leaking here. And I can see a little bit of green on the mane there, so I better fix the horse up too. So I'm just going to paint out the leak. And again with the there's a little bit of green in the mane, so I'll make a clipping mask above it with a blank layer. Again, change it to hue. Sample the colour. And then paint over the green. Alright, so with some colours, that looks alright. Sometimes, and there's another blend mode you can use, the colour blend mode sometimes works better, as it did in this case. So depending on, I'm not sure, with the lighter colours it seems hue works better, and the darker colours, looks like, well in this colour the blending mode colour worked, so there you go. Alright, so next I'm going to create a stamp of this, of everything. It's going to I think we could try resizing them a little first. Let's try this is the beauty about that layer mask and that brush that we used. You can see you can move around and they blend in everywhere they go now. I think it looks good. Alright, we'll try it there. Alright, do a stamp. So you highlight the top layer, Control, Shift, Alt and E. And they've popped onto their own layer. Now, see how we go. Alright, so don't need that layer underneath at the moment, so I'll turn that off. And this is a plugin I use from Flaming Pear called Flood 2. And this is pretty cool. It does the water reflections. Nice and simple. Just give it a few more waves maybe. press OK. Okay, so I need to make that a bit more natural than having a straight line going around it. So I'm going to pop the background image not into the group, but underneath that layer mask, and on underneath this layer with the flood. I'm going to add a layer mask to our top layer, and with a soft brush, I'm going to tidy up these edges here. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is just going to darken up that edge there a bit, just to make the transition into the water. So I'm going to do that with a curves layer. So I'm going to darken this image, and I'm going to invert that layer mask there by clicking the tile and Control I to inverse it or invert it, and then with a white paintbrush onto the black layer mask at around 25%, doesn't have to be exact. Just going to slowly darken the water's edge there. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to do some color adjustments onto this. So I'm going to go to color lookup. I'm going to choose Candlelight Cube. Change the blend mode to soft light, and I'm going to apply that onto that layer mask there, under the image tab. Should be apply image. I'm going to try a couple of different things now. I'm going to desaturate the color a little bit with the hue and saturation. That was about 30%. I can come back and adjust it if I don't like the. I'm going to give it a gradient map. So that's not the color gradient I want. On the drop down box, I'm going to choose this tricolor on here, red, blue, red and yellow. I'm going to switch this blend mode to hard light, and then I'm going to reduce that opacity way down to 5%, around 5%. I was trying to give it a bit of atmosphere here, so I'm going to just put that saturation up a little bit. It's about 23%. Alright, so that's without the gradient map, and that's with the gradient map. And I'm going to try to make this soft and atmospheric. So I'm going to do that with, it's the only time I ever use this layer style, if I can find it, a solid color. And this effect that I'm doing now only seems to work with blues and purples. So I want a really sort of dark blue. Then in the layer style you put it to exclusion, and it kind of gives it a soft atmospheric kind of a look, but that's a bit too blue I think, so I can the more black you add the less the effect shows. If I put it like that, you see it's it's pretty bad. White's bad. Alright, so in the blues we want sort of the dark blues. Alright, just going to add a bit more saturation to that. Actually, turn that off. Alright, now I'm looking at that, and I think I've made it worse. Alright, let's scrap that idea. It doesn't work. Not on this image. Alright. You know, I'm shooting this live, and you know, not everything you try works, but you got to try some things. So okay, so now I'm going to make a stamp of these. So highlight that top layer, Control Shift Alt and E again, and do a bit of dodging and burning. So with curves, I'm going to add some shadows. Invert that layer, Control I, and with a soft white brush, low opacity, I'm going to give the shadows a bit more work again. Then I'll do the same with the highlights. So curves again. This time I'm going to drag it brighter, invert, and touch up the highlights a little bit. Let's get the highlights in there here. And on the horse, so you can see what I'm doing. I'll just pause the video here and carry on doing those. Okay, so I've almost finished with the highlights there. Alright, so you can see the difference that's made. Okay, so I'm just going to finish this off in camera raw. So with the, I'm going to make a stamp. With the camera raw filter. Just some of these colours. So it's a little bit too dark. I'll just brighten it up a little bit, I think. Okay. Alright. There's the before. And there's the after. And I like it. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you've got any comments or questions, just leave them below and I'll reply to you. Thanks very much.